The use of classical mythology in poetry is not a new concept. Research done by James Stinchcombe in 1933 indicated that there were over 1,500 mythological allusions found in poems. He offers a few reasons why Western society may be drawn to classical myths. Many myths are rural in scene, while current poetry has a more urban setting. Classical names are polysyllabic, while modern poetry seems to favor words that are short, sweet, and to the point. Contemporary women poets have also taken a liking to classical mythology, using revisionist myth-making as a way to redefine themselves and their culture. One feature of many mythical stories is the abandonment of a female. Perhaps this has led to modern poets' use of these stories. Poets we have talked about in class, Adrienne Rich, Sylvia Plath, and Anne Sexton, have all used classical myths in some of their works. Some poets, like Rich, simply make a mention of a book of myths, while other poets take a well-known classical myth and completely rewrite it. According to Ostreicher, women writers are drawn to mythical revision due to, quote, the high literary status that myth confers, and that women writers have often been denied because they write personally or confessionally, unquote. In revising old myths, women are able to change the stories and give them something new, a female knowledge of female experiences. Female poets aim to correct and challenge gender stereotypes. Mythological revision also allows female writers the chance to try on new roles, that of a destroyer, which has always been denied women in the past due to the need to conform to traditional moral feminism. Women are the givers of life, not the destroyers of it. All of this is done in order to challenge current culture's concepts of gender as well as reality. Euripides' Medea contains a chorus of Corinthian women singing an ode in which the meaning is clear. Quote, let us wield the lyre's divine power. Let us sing the songs, and we'll tell a different story. Unquote. It seems to me that this is the battle cry of these feminist poets. Although that scene in the play was meant to be ironic, as women were not allowed to be actors, it seems to me that this phrase is a perfect embodiment of those current feminist poets. By taking over the lyre, women are giving new perspectives to old myths. Carolyn Kaiser is no different. From essays to prose, from translations to her own original poems, Kaiser has amassed a large volume of works. She is known as a feminist poet, using irony and wit to get her point across. Through my research, I have found that a wide selection of her poems have a mythological background, and they are built around well-known mythical figures, Midas, Hera, Persephone, and like other female poets, she adds her own spin to the story. While many of her poems are considered feminist poems, others in her book, The Ungrateful Garden, deal with the relationships between three related themes: man and nature, man and his gods, and man and man. The Ungrateful Garden. Midas watched the golden crust that formed over his steaming sores, hugged his augs, loved his lust, but damned the health the out of doors. While blazing motes of sun impaled the serried roses, metal bright, these famous flowers, Midas wailed, have scorched my retina with light. This gift he thought would gild his joys, silt up from the waters of his grief. His lawns a wilderness of noise, the heavy clang of leaf on leaf. Within the golden cup is good, to lift, to sip the yellow mead. Outside, in summer's range, the rude gold thorn has made his fingers bleed. I strolled my halls in golden shift, as ruddy as a lion's meat. Then I rushed out to share my gift, and golden stubble cut my feet. Dazzled with wounds, he limped away to climb into his golden bed. Roses, roses can betray. Nature is evil, Midas said. This poem uses the myth of Midas as the basis for an extended metaphor, using it to illustrate the role of greed in man's life, the resulting destruction of nature, and the feeling that nature strikes back out of anger. Kaiser comes from the Northwest, where at the time the area was being deforested and the rivers were being stripped of salmon. Other poems of Kaiser's that revise classical mythology include The Copulating Gods, We Were Their Religion Before They Were Born, the spectacle of their carnality, confused them into spiritual lust. The dying goddess, the love goddess, alas, grows frailer. She still has her devotees, but their hearts are not whole. The old gods. All the old gods have become enfeebled, mere playthings for poets. Hera hung from the sky. I pitted my feminine weight against God, his terrible throne. From the great dome of despair, I groan, I swing, I swing. I think you get my point. These poems tackle things such as religion, a corrupt society in which love has been replaced, sexual equality, and the relationship between sacred and profane acts of love. There does not seem to be a subject she shies away from. She tackles it all.